I tell my kids, right? That's one of the big differences between the era that they grew up in and the era that I grew up in is they never got to know any of those people. And getting to know some of those people, I view as very much a privilege and a great thing in life and a helpful thing in this moment because we have a real life extremist movement in this country. I've used the word fascist to describe it. I think that is precisely what it is, particularly when you look at whatever demarcation line you want to draw in your head and then assign Trump and DeSantis and that ilk within it. How do you see this moment when Donald Trump gets up there and he says we gotta end the U.S. Constitution? Right, time to scrap it. And he's standing where he's standing in the polls. How do you take that? Do you just say this is a guy who's full of shit and bluster, which he is, or right? Do you take him literally and seriously? And I'll just say, my deal with him is I take everything he says literally, seriously. And my default position is if you say it, you mean it. And we have a current in the media that looks at the plain things all of these people say and has created an industry trying to explain why it is they don't mean the things they say over and over again and act on. How do you process that stuff?
Oh, I'm pretty much exactly where you are. And the prospect of him being reelected means it's over. That's what I think. I mean, you saw the end.
What does over mean? I mean, I say that I believe it's over too, but go deeper on that. What does that? I mean, the American system is resilient, right? Because it's so decentralized, right? It is like the original AI, right? Of some level, it's almost unkillable when you look at its resiliency, how decentralized it is down the range. But I don't disagree with that sentiment that it's over. But what does over mean?
Well, remember these things called norms? And there were things that people just accepted as norms that also protected us. And those kind of went away. And then there are part of the norms were that we used due process and that we hired people who knew what they were doing and weren't who had integrity. And that so if you hire an attorney general, if he was going to put this guy Clark in as attorney general, and for no other reason than that Clark was going to help him foment a takeover. That's what we would get this time. That's right. And, we had Mattis and we had people like that. We wouldn't get one of those people again. We would have just goons. And it wouldn't devolve into what you're discussing in terms of fascism. It would start there. And I just am, it's hard for me to believe that this guy could get elected. I remember thinking, I had Dan Balls on my podcast, and I said to him, when he had the first indictment in Manhattan, I thought, well, of course he's going to get more support from his people because it's a thin indictment and it's about this thing. But I'm thinking that, 4 more indictments down the road, he's going to start losing support. And then I started thinking, maybe I'm wrong. And I said, what do you think, Dan? He goes, I think maybe you're wrong. And I go, oh yeah. And these will be pretty serious ones, including,
How do you How do you explain that?
I don't
How can
know.
you explain that a cult of personality
That's exactly what
taking root of all people around this guy?
well, it's funny because, usually a cult of personality would take place around someone who you could say, like, I can see that. I can see that. And I guess I didn't see this. I didn't, there was no attraction. I guess the thing I could see with Trump was the bluster and confidence and the resentment that he embodied, which the Queens real estate developer resenting the Manhattan real estate developers, whatever or the son resenting the dad, or just a pathological guy resenting the world, and I think he tapped into the resentment that a lot of Americans feel about their country turning, multi-ethnic and racial, and that they are losing their status and they are losing their power, and they don't like, going to the DMV and seeing everyone having a foreign language, speaking, they don't, there's, and they are resentful and scared. And this guy taps into that, and that's what I didn't understand. I should have realized that, a charismatic figure who's going to become one of those isn't going to be charismatic to me.
Do you, so the way that I process him is like this at some level. I regard him as I regard him as a philosopher. He is a practitioner of philosophy, Donald Trump, and he is a philosopher of fuck youism.
Okay.
And at the bottom line, right, there's a lot of people in the country, right, who are deserving of consideration on that fuck you radar screen, right? So couple of just kind of baseline facts. 40% of the country has $400 cash available.
Right. Or doesn't.
Right, or even less, right? You have tens of millions of people unbanked. Food insecurity among the enlisted ranks in the military. Go look at a payday lending line right outside a military base, right? A week before payday. 1 million opioid deaths that apparently no one on the coast really knew about, judging by the coverage, until 2017. So there's this primal rage. I think that when people look at, for example, the CEO of Moderna, and this is a public company, this guy made $400 million in American money last year, right? Stocks and cash, and people can't get their diabetes drugs. And even though the Democrats are working to address issues, they have somehow been disconnected from that vast, angry, justifiably aggrieved part of the population that is so bereft of belief in anything that maybe the last thing they actually believe in is the capacity of this guy to just say fuck you, right? And therefore him. But how do you think about that population, right? A lot of people that are routinely called racists, right, that are with Trump, voted for Obama twice. And so how do you kind of sort that through? and how do you talk to those people? Because we do have to figure out how to talk to some of these people at some point, don't we? Or
yeah, part of the reason it's very hard to talk to them is that we have two different systems of media, or not systems, but we have a divided messages coming, and people are sorting themselves into what media they get, right? And so and that's something that, you know, part of what Trump said was there is fake news. And, you know, I said that my dad we'd watch Cronkite, right? Or Brinkley. That's, you know, that's a long time ago. And now people are, you know, 17%, it's 15 to 17% of Americans believe in QAnon. 17 to 15%. I keep a close eye on these legitimate polling companies. They believe that the elites, you know, you and me, I guess, and the deep state and the entertainment business and bankers kidnap children, keep them hostage, are pedophiles, and drink their blood for this to get energy.
do you think, though, that the number of people that are susceptible to this stuff and that are just batshit crazy has gone up? Or do you just think that they all now have the ability to connect with each other, and it's basically been a stable number since the first group of people got off the Mayflower in 1620? I've always been the crazy's a stable number, but it could be increasing, right? I could be delusional on that.
No, because I think that there is a division about where people get their information. And what Facebook has done is their algorithm steers you to what outrages you, right? This idea that Facebook doesn't know where it's sending you is crazy. I mean, it knows exactly where it's sending you. That's the whole point of the algorithm. So the algorithm goes, oh, you like this? Well, I think you might like this. And then they get sent, you know, Pizzagate.